Using this darling sign from the Dollar Tree, it can be a hang-up sign or you stick it in your garden. I'm going to turn it into a vertical decor piece. We're going to take a garland, a cardboard box, some foam, some greenery, and a piece of scrapbook paper of your liking. I went ahead and marked the size that I needed for my scrapbook paper so I could cut it down with my paper trimmer. I'm going to link all my tools down below from this video. I typically do just so if you ever see something and you want to know where it's from, I usually have all my Amazon links that are down there in my description box, so you'll see it. But we're going to go ahead and take that scrapbook paper and glue it onto that cardboard round box. This is going to become the base of our decor piece, and it's going to allow our darling sign to stand upright. Go ahead and glue that on nice and tight and smooth. I like to work quick when I'm working with paper and hot glue. I don't want to see any of the lumps and bumps. And then go ahead and remove that sticker from the bottom. Now I'm going to take a piece of foam and I'm going to just cut it down, and I decided to make it a little bit taller. This was a piece of scrap foam I had sitting around in my craft room, and I'm just going to build it up so it's up to the rim of that box. Go ahead and glue all of those pieces together and down inside of the box. And now we're going to take that sign. I'm going to just snap it where I know I want it to go down in there enough into the foam, but it allows it to still stand upright out of the box. I'm going to trim off any of that extra that I don't want to be on there, and then I'm going to pre-punch the hole before I glue it. I don't want to wiggle it around side to side. I just want to have a nice clean push down into the foam, and then I put some glue down into that hole as well on the actual sign, the stake that came with the sign. And now I'm going to just hold it in place just for a second while that dries. I'm now going to use that garland, cut off a long piece, and I'm going to add some glue to get it started around the stake of that sign and all over the foam. And I'm just going to simply coil that around until you cannot see the foam anymore. Be careful with this part because it is easy to put your finger right in that hot glue, just like I did there. But thankfully I've been using glue forever, so it doesn't hurt me too much whenever I put my finger in it. I actually have tried to use those little finger protectors, and I'd rather just use my fingers and get little burns here and there just because I'm used to it. I tucked all of that greenery down inside of my box, and now I'm going to come in with one of those picks. I love the picks at the Dollar Tree because they have such a variety and they are all on a crafter's budget. I trimmed them down to size, and now I'm going to just glue them right into that foam, adding some pine cones, some holly berries on the front and the back, because again, remember, we love to finish our backs here on this channel. I love to show a finished, completed look. So whatever side you come at this little decor piece, it's going to look nice and finished from both sides. I also will remove the sticker, but I didn't show that part in this video segment. Go ahead and cut off that string at the very top, and I'm going to cover up that hole because I don't want to see that hole. I happen to have these darling snowflake buttons. I've been using them a lot this season. I'm going to cover up the hole and add on some more of these snowflake buttons all over my little snow penguin. And then I'm going to come in with some of this chunky, thick, beautiful glass glitter. I'm adding it with hot glue. I find that the hot glue dries very quickly and it adheres the glitter really well. So I went ahead and just did a little bit of glue along the rim of that box, and then I'm going to add some more glitter. I am also making some drip down icicles that is with this glitter, so it looks like it's not just a straight line. I wanted to look a little bit frosty, like an icicle dripping down that you would see in wintertime. And then I also came up to the top of my penguin's hat, and I decided to embellish up there as well. The fun thing about these projects is you just keep adding until you feel like it's completed. Once I put the glitter on the box, I knew that I definitely wanted to add some up to his cute Santa hat, and I'm just going around the edges a little bit and at the very top. Now that the glitter is all in place, I'm going to just make sure I tap off all the extra, clean up my table, and this darling penguin sign is ready for you to use as a home decor piece on any table or bookshelf in your home. This project is so easy, and I imagine using this on a table scape for dinner, hosting a party. I love these mini terracotta pots. So I'm going to use that, one of these green garlands, some of these LED candle lights that are battery operated, and then one of these berry picks, all from the Dollar Tree. Go ahead and add some glue to the bottom of the candle LED stand. It has these great little holders that you can add some glue. It is a little bit of a tight, snug fit in there, so make sure you add enough glue that it actually sticks down in there. I kind of went up onto the sides a little bit, and I added a little bit extra so it would drip down into the pot to get all the way to the bottom. Once you've got the base glued in, go ahead and just pop the candles in. We want the candles to be able to be taken in and out, so you can switch out the batteries if you need to, or you want to turn them on and off. I took this green garland, I'm going to wrap it around, twist it in place, almost like a little mini wreath, and then I'm going to remove that candle and glue that into place. These are so fun to make because you can customize these to whatever colors you want or whatever type of greenery you want to put in it, and they can be used all throughout the year depending on what you put inside of them. But I think that they are so beautiful if you put these next to a place setting, maybe next to a cup or a darling name card that you might have handwritten. You put this right on top of the dessert plate or next to a cup, and it is just such a little, I think it's the darlingest detail that your guests will love seeing on their plate. Each person has their own little candle lit. Now I've got the greenery in all three of my little pots. I'm going to go ahead and glue in these berries because I just love holly berries at the Christmas season with greenery. I just think it's such a traditional, beautiful look. I have seen these little mini square crates used in so many different ways, and I wanted to show you another way for Christmas, if you have some of these randomly sitting around, that they can be turned into little mini faux presents. I think that these would be so cute in a tiered tray, on a table, on a shelf, and you can decorate them with whatever fabric you have on hand. So I'm just cutting down a piece of fabric, and I'm going to work with my rectangle crate first. And you can see here that I'm just adding some hot glue, pulling it tight up onto the side, cutting off any extra that I don't need. I think that's the most important part when you're working with this fabric on these crates. Try to cut away any fabric that you don't need, but make sure you have enough to be able to pull it up and over the sides coming into the back opening. When you get all four sides glued down, you're going to have these triangle flaps on the sides of the box, and you're going to just add some hot glue and pull it over nice and tight to have a nice tucked line. And you're going to do that on all four of those corners. Cut off the extra again, and then pull it over and glue it down into place. Make sure you're pulling as tight as you possibly can because it really gives it a nice finish. And then you get to decorate it however you want with ribbon, maybe some cute little greenery on it. It's whatever you want to put on these boxes, whatever fabric. It is such an easy and fun project with a big impact and results for your home decor. And of course, I had to finish this particular box off with a little bow. I have wanted to make my very own Christmas train, and these crates are perfect for being able to pull off the job. Now let's check out all the steps that I took to be able to create this little train for just a few dollars. To start, we're going to use 6 of these wooden crates, wood rounds, shish kebab sticks, half wood balls, and they look like this, and I picked these up on Amazon, and then some popsicle sticks and some long thick tongue depressor sticks. Now I'm going to take those wood rounds and I'm going to use my smaller punch on my crocodile and punch out a hole right in the center. Once I've got that cut out, I'm going to go ahead and take my shish kebab stick, poke that into the opening with some hot glue, and then add on one of these half wood balls. This is going to become the wheels on our train. So we're going to repeat that over and over again. Each of the freight carriers are going to have 2 wheels, and then the engine is going to actually have 3. So I went ahead and made all of my wheels and put them to the side. And now I'm making the engine. I'm bringing together 2 crates by their openings, and then I'm going to also glue on, facing down, the front part of the train engine. Make sure you use hot glue and wood glue for a nice bond where it lets it hold in place while the wood glue dries. Then at the bottom of our train, we want to make sure we close up that opening. And I'm just taking some long tongue depressor sticks, and I'm just going to glue that down into place, making sure I lock everything in down at the bottom so it has a nice clean finish. I went ahead and used 3 long depressor sticks, and that worked really well. And then on the front, to cover up that hole, I'm just coming in with some more of those, cutting them down to size. I did end up using 1 popsicle stick because that was the perfect size for that. And then covered it up where it's almost like the bumper or the front of the train engine, where it's got this nice thick piece on the front, making it have a nice clean finish. And then now we need to address the holes up at the top. I'm going to go ahead and repeat the same process where I'm just cutting them down, and I'm going to have a little bit of overhang on the front of that engine, just like you would see on a train. Now this is the cutest part. I used this mini candlestick holder that I picked up from Hobby Lobby a while ago. I glued that right at the end of the engine, which I think it looks so cute. Then I took my crates all outside. I spray painted 3 of them a Christmas red and 1, which was the engine, white. And I decided to go with a frosty look on my little freight carts because I thought it would just look more Christmassy. You don't have to do that. You could just leave it red or whatever color you want to paint it, but I liked that it had that frosty look to it. And now I'm coming onto my wheels, and I'm just painting that half wood ball black on all of them. And while my brush was wet with the black, I went ahead and painted the smokestack on the engine as well as some windows. Now I'm adding in some hot glue, and this is how I did it. First I put down the wheel and I added some hot glue, and then I kind of shifted it around so the glue could get underneath and onto the crate better. Now I'm taking this metal chain that I got back in the springtime from the garden section, and I'm chaining together all of the carts. And then on the engine, I'm going to drill in a long screw, and I'm going to take one of the chains. I'm opening up and unlinking where I don't want the extra chain, and then closing back in the link when I'm ready to hook it together. So you can see here that I took one of those hooks that was on the chain, slipped it onto the screw, I tightened it a little bit more, and then now I'm adding in some hot glue to really lock everything into place. While that chain was drying with the hot glue, I added on 2 of the same size wheels, and then I had to make a custom one longer for the 2 crates that are brought together for the engine. Now at this point I can go ahead and connect the engine to the little carts, and we can start working on embellishing the engine. I went ahead and took some of these popsicle sticks and cut them down to frame out the window. You can see that I built out the bottom layer first, and now I'm bringing on almost like a windowsill where you can see that the ends are angled, and then up at the top of the window I'm adding on a little bit of an angle where it's kind of tilted, touching the actual window wall and the siding. And then I'm going to add on a 25 to the front, and the last finishing touches is to distress the white on the train just a little bit and to add on a couple of mini wreaths. We are going to be making a beautiful high-end Christmas tree project using these 2 oh so popular Dollar Tree Christmas trees. a galvanized bucket with twine around it, some pine cones, ornaments the color that you would like, and any color ribbon as well that you would like. We're also going to be adding in 2 zip ties and a piece of foam. Go ahead and remove your tree from the box and just toss these bottom pieces because we're not going to be standing them up with this standing part. We're going to be putting this into foam, making it look even more high-end versus this cheesy plastic bottom that really, honestly, the trees don't stand up very well with them. Go ahead and fluff out your tree branches where it's flat on one side of the tree because we are going to be bringing these 2 trees together. Now, I've been teaching this here on my channel for a while. The one tree is great, but if you can spare another $1.25, add in an extra tree and bring these together. If you want it even fuller, you can do 3 trees together, and what you do is you just flatten them and bring those rods that are in the middle of this mini tree together with a zip tie. I like to use 2 zip ties. I use one at the top and one at the bottom. Go ahead and tighten it as tightly as you can. Once you've got that first one on and your rods are evenly together, go ahead and do the bottom, and then always make sure you cut off those zip tie extra pieces, but don't accidentally cut one of the branches. So just move the branches out of the way while you're snipping those pieces off and then throw them away. Now we're going to take one of those foam squares from the Dollar Tree. You do not need the full square piece. I cut mine in half, so it just extends my money and I get to use that foam piece for something else, or if I'm making multiples of these. And then I'm going to just add some hot glue down the sides. We don't need it to go all the way down in there. It fits nice and snug, and this is also going to allow the tree to stand up taller in this bucket. Now this next part is optional. I don't personally like seeing the foam in it. I think it just adds a little bit more of a high-end look, a store finished product. And I'm going to just go around the rim onto the foam piece and just put some Spanish moss right on top. You could skip this part again. You could also use raffia if you have that on hand. Now I'm going to add a ton of glue onto the rod, and I'm going to push that down into the bucket and into the foam. Make sure you don't wiggle it around too much because you don't want the foam to get loose. You want it to stay nice and tight onto that rod. And also, if you didn't know, they have a larger tree at the Dollar Tree, and I think it's $5. I think it's 25 inches. This tree I'm working with, the mini trees, are about 12 inches. So we're going to go ahead, fluff that tree all out so it looks beautiful, ready for Christmas, and now we're going to decorate it. I found the easiest way to add on these ornaments. You could wire them on with wire hooks and just wrap it around, but if you just slide these on to the branches, you can add a little bit of hot glue, and I would recommend, sliding them on with gentleness because they are plastic tops, but I was able to get them on really easy. You just push some of the little bristles out of the way and slide it right on, and then add a small dollop of glue, which will keep it on the branch, and it doesn't come off. I tried to tug at it and it stayed on perfectly. Now I will also recommend, because this is the Dollar Tree, I like to add a little bit of glue onto the ornament. I just pop it right out of that little prong top piece, and then I glue it right back into place, and it'll keep these ornaments from popping off over time so that it keeps it looking nice and high-end and complete without missing little ornaments that are away from the little prong top. Now this part is optional, but I thought it would be so pretty to add in some of these darling mini pine cones. I know that they have these at the Dollar Tree. When I went to go look for supplies, they actually didn't have any in any of my stores around, but I had some on hand, and it just must be that maybe they were out of stock at the time, or maybe a lot of people are buying mini pine cones. I'm not sure, but you can add these or not. You can add on some tinsel. You can add on some other colored ornaments, little tiny bows, whatever you want to decorate your tree with. To add to the top of the tree, I decided to go with this beautiful bow. I'm going to be placing a burlap bow with a gingham bow. I love the layered look of bows. I think you all know that if you've been here for a while. I love to layer bows, and it's not complete without a tiny little button. I happen to have these star buttons that I picked up from Joann's a long time ago. They had a pack of star buttons. So I'm going to add that right into the center, come up to the top of the tree, and then just simply glue that on. There are all sorts of different versions of this online and even here on my channel, but this project is such a quick and fast, easy project to do that will really spruce up any table at any Christmas party that you happen to be going to, or even hosting yourself.